welcome back to another episode of Buzzworthy Businesses. I'm Steve Strum. Sitting here next to me is a fine young man that we get to talk about a bit of a passion project, John Greenwald from Epiphany Custom Guitars. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. And people might notice on the set we have a couple of things that are different. So we were talking a little offset. You are a retired, congratulations, CEO, executive leader of many organizations in your career. Now you make guitars.
Yes. And I love it.
Walk me, congratulations on your retirement. I've got 20 years in partnership in my firm that I'm sitting here trying not to lose my mind some days. So how did you go from being a CEO of many companies, large and small?
Well, not many, but a few companies.
More than one?
Yeah, more than one.
Less than 10?
Less than 10.
How about a few?
Less than 5.
We'll go with a few.
How about 2?
Okay, fine. So a couple. So leadership of a couple organizations, and now you make guitars.
I do.
How did this happen?
Well, it's kind of a long story, so I'll make it as short as I can here. I went to undergrad in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and got a degree in manufacturing engineering. So you spend a lot of time in manufacturing and design. What was really neat at that time was there was a company headquartered in Kalamazoo called Gibson Guitar. And Gibson is a premier guitar builder in the industry, one of the top. And so I got to go over and tour that facility many times as a college student. And I kind of got the bug then. I played, I was in bands as a high school kid and whatnot, but it really clicked then. And when I combined the manufacturing plus I learned CAD, computer-aided design, while I was there. And it kind of always hung with me. So after I graduated, I went on to different industries and different businesses, but I always had the passion for guitars. So over the years I acquired them, but I also tinkered with building them.
It's so neat to see that. So one of my kiddos is in the engineering side, and he is always building something. And so now you're in retirement. It's a passion project, hobby, but it's a business. And we actually have one of your guitars. We're going to grab it here in a minute. Tell us a little bit about the company. Like, what is it that you do?
Well, I started out by getting some training. A couple years ago, went on site to a manufacturer and walked through the entire process. And so my goal was to build 10 guitars by hand. So each one is hand built, lots of sanding and cutting and making the wood look like a guitar. And that's why I call myself, my title in my new company is Chief Sawdust Officer, because the sawdust flies all over. And so that's what I do. I start with a design. Now, after building the first few by hand, now I'm putting it in the computer and spitting out a model that will then become something that I can manufacture on a CNC machine. So I bought a little CNC machine and started producing guitars.
And the one that we have here, you're actually entering into competition for
Yes.
So there's a competition that you're entering into. Tell us a little bit about where this guy here is going to be.
Well, I'm going to take it out to Denver, Colorado next month, and it's entered into the Great American Guitar Build-Off. And the idea for that particular session is that it had to look like a Fender Telecaster. Can't copy it, but it's got to look like it. Has to be identifiable as a Fender Telecaster. So I came up with a design, and one of the things I've noticed over the years is that all guitars are flat. All electric guitars are flat, every one of them. And then you look at a body, whether you have a dad bods or a normal, thin or muscular body, nobody's flat. Nobody has a completely flat body. So the more I thought about that, I kind of drew on my experience at Herman Miller, which is fascinated with ergonomics and obsessed with creating great places to work, and how a person interacts with their environment and so forth. So I thought through that, and I thought, well, I need to make a guitar that is not flat. I need to make one that has a curve to it. So if you look at this.
I was going to say, it's about the time that we have to get the guitar out.
Yeah, it's got a curve to it that
Yeah, I could see it. I guess I would just hug your body.
it just kind of hugs your body. So the idea is when you have this against your body, you have a nice arm contour here, so it makes it super comfortable to play. And then at the bottom, it kind of comes out a little bit. So as I'm sitting, my leg otherwise on a flat guitar would be
Digging in, yeah,
digging
yeah,
right
sure.
into that thing. And if they're heavy, then you got to add, that additional weight to these things. So this is a lightweight, ergonomic guitar that.
And may I?
Sure.
And this yeah, this thing's lighter than it's like the weight of my iPhone.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit heavier. But so you made this guitar.
I did.
Like from scratch.
From scratch.
And it plays and it's tuned.
Yep.
And you are this thing. This is a solid piece of wood.
That is a mahogany blank. The neck is also mahogany. I have a binding on the neck, and these are made out of aluminum, which is kind of unique. Usually binding is made out of a plastic ABS material, but I have that aluminum to match a little aluminum, feature at the top, and then an aluminum pick guard. And so I'm playing off that.
So this is not just a functioning guitar, but this is actually literally a piece of art.
Well,
I would call this art.
if you call it art,
I would,
then
if
I'll
I had
accept
to make
that.
this, we're talking about super glue and duct tape over here. So
Well, there's some super glue on it.
well, and duct tape, you just can't see it. So the world is held together with super glue and duct tape.
Yeah.
This is such a beautiful, and we'll get that here for the camera. Look at that. It just kind of, and then the curve. Let me make sure I don't hit the back of the thing so the producers don't get mad at me, or you. Look, that is so cool. Like, how neat is it? So this is going, I'm going to put this guy back down here and try not to break it on its way down for many reasons. So this is going to be entered into the competition in
Yes.
Denver,
Yes.
which is people from all over the country, all,
All
over the world.
Yeah, people flying in from all over.
You think Les Paul's going to be there?
Les Paul would be if he were still alive.
That
but
is
he,
fair.
you know,
In spirit, because that's the big Gibson model, right? The
That's
Les
the
Paul
Gibson,
is
yeah.
like the quintessential guitar that came from Gibson.
Absolutely, yeah.
And many people, Ace Frehley from Kiss,
Yes.
would be one as a great
Yeah.
example, that played the Starburst, I think, Les Paul.
Yeah, Sunburst.
A Sunburst, yeah.
Yeah.
So I grew up playing the piano, and you were mentioning, being in a couple bands, and I think we talked a little bit prior to the episode here. They needed a drummer, and they you could play the drums, and I'm like, okay, the piano and the drums are totally different. Percussion and string instruments are different. So as we take it away, thank you, in all sincerity, thank you so much for coming here and sharing your story and really literally bringing work from your hands as the chief sawdust officer. As we take it away, let's talk a little bit about sweaty fat dads, sweaty fat bods.
Sweaty, fat, ugly guys.
Sweaty, fat, ugly guys,
Yes.
which there's none of them on this studio.
Well, when I named that band, I told my wife the name of the band, and she said, "You're not sweaty."
What about the other pieces?
Well,
I guess those are for debatable.
the fat, ugly, probably.
Well, but you now have an ergonomic guitar, so you
that's
can
right, so-
overcome
So then all they tie
the
together.
fat and the ugly.
Yes,
Now we
exactly.
just got to deal with the sweaty. So you have an album, which you got right here. So it is Sweaty, Fat, Ugly Guys is the CD that we have, and you have this one that you guys made. You're making guitars. What a cool thing to do in retirement.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, I've got 15, 20 years before, my wife will let me do that. And I'm just thinking about, what am I to try to do to not get in trouble? I had weed eating on my list, but you have definitely taken retirement to a whole new level. Very cool. Thank you so much for joining us. It's just a neat story to see, somebody who came from the corporate universe, right? And now in retirement is doing something that they love, but creating something. It's so, in a world where, what are we creating these days anymore? Now you're literally creating fabricated material that's going to compete on the world stage for, and not sweaty, and debatably fat, ugly guy, to be able to show your talent. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
And
Thank
as
you.
great as you are, this is an awesome interview. We can't do any of this without these guys. So guys, what we're going to do is we're going to put Epiphany Custom Guitars on our website, so you can come check them out on thedailynewsnetwork.com. If you like the episode, share the episode, and remember to always live with gratitude.